Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Charlie and I sell handmade polymer clay earrings and accessories from my shop called Charrings. Today I am going to be telling you how to stop polymer clay sticking to cutters because it is the most annoying thing, and I have figured out a few ways over the past 4 years of having my business on how to stop it happening, so I'm going to try and help you as much as I can today. Let's go. So I've just grabbed a cutter. I'm going to use this astronaut one because it's got a lot of details in it, so I can give you a good representation of what it looks like. So this is me pressing it down with absolutely nothing apart from the cutter, and as you can see it's stuck, and this is the problem we're going to try and solve today. So as you can see, I've got to peel it off. It becomes a real pain. I've got to go grab one of my tools, try and get the clay out, because it's really not simple to get the clay out the cutter once it does get stuck. And at the end of the day, we just want to make some earrings. I don't want to be faffing about, especially if you've got to make a lot for a batch. So my first tip is baking powder. Now this is my go-to. This is my number one tip. It's simple, easy, quick. I do it with pretty much every pair of earrings I make. So I just dip my cutter into the baking powder. I tap it to get all the excess powder off. I always do this. It just means that you don't have loads of powder left on your cutter or on your earrings that you've just made. And then give it a good wiggle once you've pressed down, and voila. It is easy as that, and that is my number one tip. But here is the second tip. So again, I'm using the baking powder. I'm giving it a little tap first, pushing it down, but I'm only pushing halfway this time, and then pull it back up, and the details aren't printed yet. And then I'm going back in with the baking powder again and pushing back down on the design and doing the same process. So give it a squeeze, give it a wiggle, try and get it pushed down as well as possible, pull it up, and there you go. That one's a really good one for more detailed cutters as well. And then you just grab a brush off the excess baking powder, and you're good to go. Now the third tip I'm going to give you doesn't work for all cutters. So I'm just going to show you now that it doesn't work with the astronaut cutter, because personally I think it's just got too many details on it. So as you can see, I'm pushing down as usual and the clay has got stuck in the cutter. Now this is a solution for if this happens and you want to try and save the piece. Now I will show you an example of how it doesn't work, but I'm going to push down on a flat surface of clay, pull it up. Now with some designs this will work, but as you can see with the astronaut it doesn't work. Some of the clay still gets stuck in the cutter and it ruins the design completely. But I then grabbed my heart cutter. This one's a bit smaller, it's got less details, and when I push down and it gets stuck, when I push that now onto the flat surface of clay, it should just pull up nicely, and the clay will actually be stuck to the flat surface of the clay, if that makes sense. And then you can just pull up that piece and it will be perfect condition. And actually sometimes this works out better because the edges will be really clear, so it will mean less sanding when it comes to sanding. Now that was just 3 ways of being able to stop your clay from sticking. One of these ways should work no matter what your issue is. Whether the clay cutter is more detailed, more simple, one of these 3 should work, and they're always my 3 go-tos for making earrings in general. Now with the baking powder, if you don't want to use the powder, you can also use soapy water. But I use Fimo clay and it doesn't seem to work well with water. I'm still trying to figure it out. It's fine after it's cooked, but before it's cooked, for some reason, when you put water on it, it just changes the whole texture of the clay and almost becomes unworkable. Now I know that with Sculpey you can use it because I've seen other creators do it. So feel free to use soapy water instead of the baking powder if you can. But for me, it doesn't work for me, and my go-to is baking powder. So my number one go-to, any time I've got any issue with the cutter, or even if I don't, I always just use it to cover myself because it's such a waste of time when it gets stuck and then you're sat there for ages picking out the clay from the cutter. It's so infuriating when you just want to make some earrings and enjoy it. So that's my number one tip, is the baking powder first, and if the baking powder doesn't work, try pulling it up, and if it gets stuck, then press again on the clay and it will come off. And if you're really struggling, then like I said, press halfway, take it up, and then press the full way, give it a good wiggle, and it should be absolutely fine. So hopefully these will fix your problems if you're having any. If you have any other questions or none of these work for you, pop it down below in the comments. I'll try and help you as much as I can. I'm always replying to every single comment, so you're always welcome to drop a comment. And also, if you know any other ways of stopping your clay from sticking to the cutter, then please pop them in the comments too, so that other people who are watching the video can come to the comments and see other tips, and I can also learn something new too. And if you're not already, please do subscribe to my channel, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.